Hey, this is Alpha 3, Goodtakes and Mistakes. In this video we will just have a closer look in just 10 minutes of this flight, in the next 10 minutes of this flight, just to take you a little bit into the decision making. This is a bit different from the previous films where we looked at a whole flight. Here we just look at 10 minutes, and this is where we are. We are at the Col d'Alos at the moment. We passed the Col d'Alos. Important, if you fly in the French Alps, you want to have an outlanding field, an outlanding option. In our case, this is the airfield of Barcelonnette, just on the left, 11 o'clock position in the valley. This is a perfect outlanding field, and we are heading for this mountain with the cloud on top. This is the Chapeau des Gendarme, and on the right side this is the Mercantour National Park, so we avoid the ridge on the right side. We don't want to get too close here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And here we go onto the Chapeau des Gendarmes, and we stop the film here. And now, from now on, it's just the decision making of 10 minutes in that flight. If you think about decision making in a glider pilot cockpit, you are in an ongoing decision making process. Like, for instance, if you make 3 decisions in a minute, 3 to 4, that means 180 to 200 decisions an hour, 1,500 decisions in an 8-hour flight. And it's quite obvious that all these decisions are that important, but a few of them are important, and it's clear that not all decisions will be perfect. So the question here on that approach is where to look for the lift. You've seen the cloud above. Do you go on the right side where the sun is coming good onto the slopes on the right side, or do you go on the left side? This is usually where the wind, where the breeze is on the ridge, and this is what I got indicated on the Anemoy wind indicator.
Yeah, that's it.
Quite often we fly along on the
wind
left side.
was really helpful, actually.
Well, we don't know if the wind indicator was helpful. Well, the wind indicator is always helpful, but if I get the informations right, this is not clear yet. So let's see what's coming up next. It's early in the year, it's early in the day, and I come around that corner here and you can see the slopes full of snow, shadow on the slopes. So I immediately had the feeling, wow, I'm not on the right side of the ridge. The wind is still on the ridge, so I don't lose much altitude. I'm maintaining altitude actually.
To find something here, but should come.
I could have turned, maybe I should have turned, but as a glider pilot you don't want to turn, and this is why I keep moving on. I'm still maintaining the altitude, so it still looks good. And as I come around this corner here, I have the feeling the ridge is not so far away. So maybe around the next corner, if the ridge drops a little bit, I could jump on the other side. So this is my plan at the moment.
And then things should work. Because the thermals are probably on the other side, and here's just a little bit of wind, but it's not enough wind. Maybe I can get over the ridge somewhere here.
So stop it here. You can see a little dent in the ridge, and for me the plan was at this moment to cross that ridge and jump onto the other side. But keep in mind, crossing ridges or passes with minimum safety margin is a serious thing for glider pilots, because a lot of accidents occur on occasions like this. You have to ask you a few questions. The first is, how does the terrain behind the ridge look like? You should put some energy in the glider, so speed up a little bit. I would have to speed up a little bit. You have to know the wind, so we have the wind indicator, that's good. And we have to check the safety margin all the time as we approach the gap on the ridge. And the crucial thing is, as you approach the ridge, how do you know that your margin is okay? And what I do is I pick up a spot on a slope behind the ridge, and as I am approaching the ridge, I focus, I monitor that spot, and this spot should not drop below the ridge line. If the spot is above the ridge and visible for me, that means my flight path is safe. And as I'm approaching now, I try to focus on that spot. And if that spot stays visible to me, I'm safe to cross the ridge. And let's move on. You can see where the spot is. The spot is still above the ridge line. Shouldn't drop below the ridge. It's still above the ridge as I am approaching. And we stop here again. So as it looks like in the moment, I gained a little bit of altitude to the ridge, so that looks good. The next thing I have to take care about is the angle how I approach the ridge. I like to approach the ridge in a shallow angle, because if I need to abort the attempt in the last second, I can break free, an instance to the left side, and immediately gain distance to the terrain. So this gives me a bit more safety margin if I have to abort the attempt. It looks different if I approach the ridge in a 90-degree angle. If I abort now, I have to make the decision a little bit earlier and have to take in mind that I'm still closing in onto the terrain after my decision. So you have to keep that in mind if you cross passes or ridges like this. So this is the moment I have to decide whether I clear the ridge or I abort the attempt. I want to point out, this is one of those decisions in a flight with no room for error at all. And this is the reason why I thought it's maybe a good idea to share the sequence in the film. During the flight, when I first saw the gap in the ridge, I thought it's too close. I thought actually it's not safe to cross. And just in the last seconds in front of the ridge, it looked safe to me. So, what can I say now? I want to emphasize one thing. Make your decision while you still have the option to abort. Make your decision while you still have the option to abort. And so, let's see how I will decide.
That should work.
So it looks good. I can cross the ridge with enough safety margin. I cross over onto the sunny side, and I know that this valley gives me the option to fly out and turn right, and I'm still safe on the airfield of Barceloneta. I immediately felt that I'm on the right side of the mountain. Just right away there was energy in the air and I could climb a little bit. So my goal was at the moment just to fly along and find the best spot. So this is another decision making. Where is the best spot? So I fly along. This looks good. Sometimes it would be good to know the future, because then I would have turned around here, but I didn't, so I keep on going. There was this little cloud, and I think maybe there's some better lift coming up. What I don't want to do, I don't want to turn in the sink, so I just head on and try to find a spot where to turn. So this is quite a good example of the decision making. There were some not so good decisions. You have to correct them. You can't always have good decisions. It's an ongoing process. You have to learn and replace the lack of experience with caution. This is probably the way to go. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for sharing these moments. I hope to have you back on my channel. Thank you very much for the nice comments on the last 2 flights. I hope to see you somewhere along the way, maybe in the French skies or in Ceres-Labati. Have a good time. This is Alpha 3.